Be'ezrat Hashem Yisborach, Yom Revi, Parsha Shlach, Tav Shin Pei. We're holding by Mishnah Yud Bet in Perek Avot, Perek Bet, Mishnah Yud Bet. Says the following: Rabbi Yossi Omer, Yehi Mamon Haverech Chaviv Alecha Shulcha. Love your friend's money like you love your own money. V'hataken atzmach limud Torah. Prepare yourself to study Torah. She'ena Yerushalach. Because Torah is not an inheritance. Torah doesn't fall from the sky. It's not inherited. V'kol ma'asech yehu l'shem shamayim. And do everything l'shem shamayim in the name of Hashem. So let's go over step by step what Rabbi Yossi is saying. Yehi mamon haverech chaviv elcha kishelcha. Love your friend's money like you love your own money. So what does that mean exactly? So there's two ways of learning it. So for example, the following: if you see your friend's house is burning, or your neighbor's house, what should you do? So according to the Meiri, you have an obligation as a neighbor, as a friend, to save that house, to do whatever you can do to save this house. Whether you have to call 911, whether you have to take out a hose and start putting up the fire, depends all on the circumstances you're there. But you have to take reasonable precautions to save your friend's house. Okay? So in other words, when you see your friend or your neighbor, and he is losing his money, you have an obligation to try to save it. Okay? So that's one way of looking at it. You know, lahavdil by goyim, they have what's called, some states maybe, or they have this thought of Good Samaritan law. You see something, do something. Okay? So that's what basically the idea here is. If you see your friend's property gets damaged, you have an obligation to save that object from getting destroyed. Another way of learning it, the Mefarshim bring down the following. Let's say you are in a profession where you are entrusted with money. Okay, we're not talking about where somebody asks you to do a favor to watch over the object, or somebody is paying you to watch over an object, or where you are renting an object. We're talking about where a person is in a profession. Okay, he is in the profession of safeguarding people's money. So, for example, a good example is a financial advisor. Okay, financial advisor. What happens? You come in. Here's the $100,000. Do what you have to do to make the money grow. Advise me how I protect the future. Okay. Also, a stockbroker is a good example. Okay. You hire a stockbroker, E-Trade, for example, to say, here's $100,000, grow that money. Okay. Another example is a lawyer. Okay. So somebody comes in and says, listen, here's the $10,000 down payment, we're buying a house. You have an obligation as a lawyer to do everything you can to protect that money, to make sure that deposit is not lost in case of this over dispute of some sort. But that's what the Mefarshim say. The Mefarshim say, when you are dealing with other people's money, you have to invest that money, for example, in the way that you would invest your own money. Okay? So what would you do? That's the question. What would you do with this money? Okay? And again, the Rabbi Yossi is saying, Yehi mamon haverach elcha kishelcha. Love your friend's money as much as you love your own money. Do what you can do to safeguard that person's money. Do what you have to do in order to protect that money and to grow that money. We see an example in Gemara Tainit with Rab Chanina ben Dosa. What happened over there is, to paraphrase it, somebody left a few chickens in front of Rab Chanina ben Dosa's house. He didn't know whose chicken it was. He took these chickens, he took care of the chickens. The chickens laid eggs. You know, laid more and more eggs. You know, from those eggs became chicklets. Okay, those chicklets grew. He didn't have place for them to be. So what he did was eventually he sold them for profit. Then he sold for more profit, more profit, more profit. Eventually, those chickens became donkeys. Okay, those chickens became donkeys. So when the true owner came and he says, "Listen, you know, about 6 months ago, I left your chickens by the front door by mistake. Can I have them back?" So instead of giving him the chickens, Reb Chanina ben Dosa gave him the donkeys because that's what he invested the chickens with. Okay, so that's a prime example how a person should safeguard his friend's money. Let's go a little further. Rav Yosef says additionally the following: "V'yetaken atzmach limud l'Torah." Prepare yourself to learn Torah, she'en yerusha lecha, because Torah is not a yerusha, is not inheritance. It doesn't come, it doesn't fall from the sky. If you want to learn Torah, excuse me. If you want to learn Torah, if you want to understand the Torah, you really have to dig deep. I mean, we talked about this a few times already. The inyan of amal b'Torah. A person should dig in the Torah, should toil in the Torah, should work on the Torah knowledge. All right, Torah knowledge doesn't come from the sky. You can be the son of the biggest rabbi, but you cannot say just because my father is rabbi, I don't have to learn Torah. On the contrary, every person has an obligation to learn Torah. Every person has an obligation to amal b'Torah, to toil in Torah, to toil in the knowledge of the Torah. Same thing is true. For example, when your father is not a rabbi, you cannot say, "Oh, you know what? Since my father is not a rabbi, my father is not a Talmid Chacham, therefore I don't have to study Torah." On the contrary, Torah is not an inheritance. If you want to acquire Torah, you have to toil in the Torah. Okay, that's what he says. Torah is not an inheritance. Again, but what does it mean to say, "V'yitaken," prepare yourself, or fix yourself? What does that mean? So the literal translation of "v'yitaken" means to fix. But there's a few ways we can learn this word "v'yitaken." Prepare yourself and fix yourself for the learning of the Torah. So Tiferet Yisrael explains the word "v'yitaken" means like this: when it's time to learn Torah, a person has to be 100% concentrating on the Torah, on the word of the Torah, on the lesson at hand. In other words, leave your political agenda, leave your emotions, leave your work. Everything is done when you learn Torah. You got to leave it behind you. Okay? So in other words, when you step into the Beit HaMidrash, when you step into the Beit HaKnesset, check your emotions, check your political stance, check your work, check your home. Everything must be checked at the door. As soon as you cross the threshold of the shul of the Beit HaMidrash, you have to be 100% concentrating on the word of the Torah. Your mind has to be clear when you're learning Torah. Because if your mind is not clear, if you're not 100% concentrating on the words, then you're not really getting anything. So, therefore, before learning, again, find a technique that works for you. Clear your mind, whether it's meditating, whether you have to take a 5-minute walk, whether it's taking a drink, whatever the technique works for you, you have to figure it out. Figure out what works for you before you learn Torah. And the same thing is true by tefillah, when you want to pray. Okay? Mediate yourself, find a sort of a decompressing technique that works for you in order for you to clear your mind. Okay? Very, very important. Somebody asked me one time, sometimes it's very hard for a person to concentrate before you enter the shiur, before you enter the shul. Not everybody is a magician. Not everybody could clear their minds before coming into shul. So my answer is as follows: try. Sometimes it's true with me, especially by work. I come from my house. I go to work, and sometimes it's very hard to get me motivated to do work. But once I pick up a file, once I pick up the paperwork, my mojo starts working, so to say. I get motivated while I'm doing whatever I have to do. So sometimes don't get despair, don't get discouraged if you cannot clear your mind before coming to shul or to Beit HaMidrash. Sometimes when you pick up a Gemara, when you start to learning, your motivation comes during the whole process, during the actual lesson, during the actual prayer. So your concentration could come at any time. Okay, it's like I brought an example. The Chafetz Chaim brings the following example. If you have a basket full of apples, and somebody comes in and knocks it down, what are you going to do? You're going to cry, oh, my apples, I cannot, this and that. No, you're going to go and you're going to run after the apple. Make sure to save each and every apple before they disappear or somebody takes it. Same thing here. You come to shul and you have a lot of things on my mind, right? Imagine you have a rigorous day at work and you come to shul from Mincha and Aravit, right? Everything that happened to you is still in your mind. But once you're in the shul, once you're in the Beit HaMidrash, don't get despaired, oh, I can't concentrate, I'm leaving. No, your concentration could come during the time when you pray or where you learn. Okay? So don't get discouraged. If you cannot concentrate before coming in, you will concentrate during the prayers or during the learning itself. So it's an important lesson. But the idea is, the Tiferet Yisrael says, the word vetaken means you got to prepare mentally before starting the Torah. However, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef says the following. What does it mean, vetaken? It means to fix. You literally have to fix yourself before starting the Torah. Before you take the yoke of the Torah. So he brings down the following mashal, the following parable. A rich person in the middle of the winter is going down the road, and he sees a poor person wearing rags, holes in the shirt, very, very thin, very unseasoned-like, so to say. So he tells the poor man, you must be very cold. Let's go and I will buy you a wool suit and a wool coat. Okay, the poor man agrees. They go to the store. The tailor comes in, takes measurements. Okay, you know what? You are 40 regular. Here's the suit. It's 100% wool. It was going to keep you warm, but you have to go in the fitting room and try it. He goes to the fitting room, and 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, half an hour later, he's not coming out. So the salesman says, this is highly unusual. Usually people go in 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, tops they come out. Half an hour, this guy is still there. So the rich man says, let's go check and see what's going on. They go inside and they check. And lo and behold, what do they see? They see a poor man is trying his suit on top of his rags. On top of his rags. And this is what Rabbi Ovadia Yosef says, listen, if you want to try on the suit, make sure you get rid of the rags first. Make sure your character, your midot, the way you act is clean. And the funny thing is, he brings an example, for example, anger, For example, get rid of anger and get rid of arrogance, ego, Excuse me. He says, get rid of your anger and get rid of your ego before learning Torah. But in general, he says, make sure your characteristics of who you are changes for the better before you're learning Torah. So midot is very important before learning Torah. That's what Rabbi Ovadia Yosef says. The word vetaken means you have to fix yourself. You have to fix yourself. You have to get rid of those rags before you want to put on the suit of the Torah. The suit of the Torah cannot fit on top of the rags. If you're wearing rags, it's not going to fit. So it means get rid of the rags before you want to put the suit of the Torah. It's like a glove. A glove cannot be worn if you have rubber gloves. You cannot have sterile gloves and then put on the glove. It doesn't fit. You can't fit. A la O.J. Simpson trial. The glove has to fit accordingly to the hand. Same thing with the Torah. The Torah has to fit on you perfectly. And if you're midot, if you don't have the derech eretz, for example, if your anger have problems, or if you have arrogance issues, you cannot learn Torah. It just doesn't fit. Okay, in Yiddish you say nishpas. Okay, it doesn't fit. It doesn't go according. So v'taken means you have to fix yourself internally. You have to fix the way who you are before absorbing the Torah. And that's what Rabbi Yosef says, v'taken atzmach limud Torah. You have to fix yourself. You have to fix yourself before learning Torah. She'enu Yerusha, because the Torah is not going to fit. It's not a Yerusha. Okay, you have to work on it. You have to work on yourself. You have to work on learning the Torah. So the third thing that Rabbi Yosef says is very, very important, very simple, but yet very important. It says like this: "V'kol ma'asecha yehu l'shem shamayim." Everything you do, every action you partake has to be yehu l'shem shamayim, for the sake of Hashem. So Rabbeinu Yoina says very interesting like this. This refers to daily activities that a person does, but not mitzvot. Okay, so in other words, every permissible act that a person does has to be l'shem shamayim, has to be for the sake of Hashem. So, for example, very simple example. Let's say you want to eat breakfast, right? You want to eat breakfast, and you say it like this: "I'm eating breakfast l'shem shamayim, for the sake of Hashem. So I could serve Hashem better today." Okay, so let's say you want to drink something, right? You send the bracha, but in your mind I'm only drinking this so I could serve Hashem a little bit better. So I could have better concentration. During my prayer. I want to take a nap right now because I'm tired, but also because I want to have the opportunity to pray to Hashem during, let's say, mincha, during Aravit, with proper kavanah, with proper concentration, and I wouldn't be tired, because when I'm tired, I don't have the proper concentration to do so. When I'm hungry, I don't have the proper concentration when praying. When I'm thirsty, I don't have the proper concentration of when I pray. Same thing for, let's say, work. I gave an example of people going to work. I go to work for what reason? To make parnasah. But why do I want to make parnasah? Is so that I could serve Hashem better. In other words, I could buy better food for Shabbat. I could buy better clothes for Shabbat. I could give charity. Okay, I want to work to serve Hashem. And that's what Rabbi Yoina says. Turn every permissible act into service of Hashem. And turn every single act by you saying that, for example, I'm going to work today so I can give to the tzedakah, so I can serve Hashem a little bit better, so I can buy better food for Shabbat. By you saying that, not only you're serving Hashem right now, but you're also doing a mitzvah of serving Hashem. So every act that you do, if you have the proper kavanah, proper understanding, proper mindset of saying that everything I do is for Hashem, l'shem shamayim, your everyday mundane actions could become into a mitzvah. Very easy, very easy. The fact that you go to sleep the night before and you say to yourself, I'm going to go to sleep for 6 to 8 hours, so tomorrow when I wake up, I could serve Hashem better. I could wake up and have the power to daven shacharit with proper concentration. That in itself will become mitzvah. So 8 hours of sleep is going to turn into a mitzvah. Okay? So that's how it works. That's how it is. It's funny. Every commentary says, even sleeping with your spouse, for example, people in my community, they all want a ben. We all want sons. We all want sons, right? That's what we have relationship with our wives. We all want to have sons because son is my name. It's the continuation of my name. But the Mefarshim, the Rishonim explain, when you have relations with your wife, and if you have the proper concentration, you have the proper mindset, and say, listen, I want to have a ben. That's why I'm having a relationship with my wife. But why do I want to have a son? So continue my name. Why? So the child that I could have, could continue to do the mitzvot and to serve Hashem. That thought process by itself, every time you're with your wife, is another mitzvah. Okay? Turn any permissible act into the mitzvah. However, don't get me wrong. You actually have to fulfill the mitzvah. In other words, if you say to yourself, okay, I'm drinking this so I could pray better, you better pray. Okay? That's the only way, I think, in my opinion, that drinking will turn into the mitzvah. If you just drink to say, I'm only drinking this to serve Hashem, but you're not actually fulfilling the mitzvah, the intent. You're not actually praying, so that drinking will not turn into mitzvah. So that's what I think. To consummate, to fulfill the mitzvah, you actually have to do the mitzvah. You actually have to do the thing that you are having in mind for. So, example, again, to make it clear, if you say to yourself, I'm drinking this cup of coffee so I could wake up and have proper concentration to pray, so you have to actually pray. Okay, you can't just say, I'm going to drink coffee so I could have better concentration and not pray. So that doesn't go together. You have to fulfill the actual mitzvah. But again, very simple. Very simple. It says, it means turn every mundane action, every daily activity, which is not a mitzvah, just a regular action of a person, turn it into a mitzvah by saying to yourself, I'm doing this, l'shem shamayim, to serve Hashem better. With that, I like to finish. That with this saying. Hopefully next week we're gonna touch upon what Rabbi Shimon has said. I think it's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. I'm not sure. They say Stam Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, but I'm not sure. We're gonna talk about next time. We're gonna talk about the importance of Shema and the importance of prayer. Okay, what we have to think during Shema, and the importance and overall importance of praying. Look, again, there's a lot of material on next week, so I'm going to try to condense it to make it interesting, and I think it should be an interesting share. I appreciate everybody for listening. Until next time.